Thank you. It's an honor to be in this setting, and I have valued the imperative for action that I think has framed these last 2 days. Having worked at the intersection of tech and society for many years, I come to this work knowing that despite the incredible divides that we see in today's world, our most important challenges sit at the intersection of those divides, at the intersections of disciplines, sectors, and borders, and that we will only solve today's challenges by creating respectful and safe spaces to listen first and talk across those divides to make lasting change for the better. And it is very good to see that in this room. And it is what I aim and what we aim to do at the Partnership on AI. We bring together people who would not normally meet to make change happen. We appreciate it can be uncomfortable, but we also think it is incredibly creative and very empowering. We believe we must face the truth of the reality of the world around us in order to be able to move forward today. At the Partnership on AI, our vision is of a future where people and communities are empowered first to develop AI that advances justice and shared prosperity, and we recognize the structural challenges and changes required to do so. But importantly, we do this in partnership with technologists at some of the world's largest technology companies, with business sector leaders in finance, retail, and the law and other sectors, with media and human rights organizations, with respected academics and research institutions and think tanks, some who are in this room, and activists and advocates in civil society and philanthropy. Our theory of the change we want to see in the world starts with our belief that AI technologies have the potential, if we choose so, to advance tremendous benefits to human development and the planet, and that international multi-stakeholder action is a prerequisite to making that happen. Today, we're working on several emerging topics I would love to talk to you about, topics where the science is not clear and the scope and the landscape of topics, tractable issues and actions are not yet defined. Working with our community, we develop collective research and actions on the frontiers of AI developments, many of which we've already spoken about. AI and human connection, trust, and knowledge is just one area. But we also work on areas where research insights are clearer, but where industry needs very clear guidelines, norms, standards, and yes, clear transparency requirements to unlock beneficial innovation. And to do this, we go beyond principles and frameworks to clear playbooks, evidence-based recommendations. We pilot them with industry and with government, with social services. We share out those case studies with the broader community, and we try to drive real-world insights that will advance collective learning and action. We also meet with policymakers where want to build their understanding by setting clear definitions. We talked about definitions earlier today. What are the terms? How can they decipher and better understand the supply chains that sit around AI development and deployment? How do we identify points of risk and potential intervention? And how can we amplify, whenever possible, the perspectives of citizens and workers in the policy development regime? Finally, we produce annual transparency reports. We track progress or the lack thereof against our recommendations and those of others. We identify where real challenges remain, and we call for renewed focus and action by all actors. There's a saying in Silicon Valley that the future is here, it is just not evenly distributed. But as we heard yesterday, this is what happens in industrial revolutions. They are jagged and they are inequitable. And it is no different when we look at what is happening with the current state of AI. Today's AI landscape is a study in contrast. We just heard about this. On the one hand, of course, we are seeing high levels of capital moving into a small number of market leaders on the promise of future results. And it is also true that AI is already deeply embedded into all of the technology we use every day in our daily lives. But on the other hand, we are also seeing responsible companies and business leaders, public service deliverers, who are experiencing real challenges as they try to scale up AI pilots to benefit their customers and their citizens. Surveys are reporting, as we just heard, that AI deployments are slowing down or even winding down. The reality is that it is actually challenging to scale up AI technology. Often the power of an algorithmically driven system to efficiently and effectively customize products and services for one group will falter when it is applied to another. And the reality is that there is a mutual interest in driving sustainable competitive advantage together with ensuring that AI systems actually work, that they actually work for workers, for people, and society. And as we've learned through industrial revolutions of the past and that we heard about yesterday, there is no silver bullet to making this happen. While rules of the road are essential and regulation and industrial policy take time, funding, and political will, and with, as we know, with emerging general purpose technologies, it's not always clear what their impact might be. We need to be able to move forward at the same time. And voluntary action, standards, and norms are a clear piece of that. Yesterday, we heard a compelling panel on the differential effects of AI technologies, the importance of collaboration over automation technologies, building resilience into labor markets, and the imperative for the dignity of work, as well as worker voice and well-being in advancing the common good. So how do we help employers, policymakers, and labor organizations actually get there and get started today? So I'm going to speak about one of our programs to give you an example. We call it AI and Shared Prosperity. And here we've taken a systems approach to develop tools and resources that support clear-eyed decision-making, shared definitions, and clear benchmarks. We have a job impact assessment tool that allows employers, labor organizations, or worker rights groups to understand and measure the full list of signals of both opportunity and risk for any system that is being assessed for development and deployment. We also give them the capacity to analyze the distribution of potential benefits and harms, and to repeat this process both for downstream and upstream markets. The goal is to gain measurable insights to improve job quality and worker well-being. And as we heard yesterday, one of the things that we have clearly learned is the need to center workers' voices in that decision-making process, because it is the workers themselves, not the CPOs, who knows what it takes to make their work better and more effective. Why, for example, have we seen so much AI development focused on coding and improving the coding process? Well, who are the workers? They're the engineers. They're the computer scientists. They have created the tool that helps them to do their job more effectively every day in the environment they are in. So this is clearly not a new insight, right? Effective modern management practices such as lean approaches and manufacturing have really relied on this truth for decades, and we need to consistently and clearly apply it to the AI development and deployment. So building toward a future requires deliberate decisions that we design and apply AI in scenarios that work for workers and for businesses. And it also requires, as we heard yesterday, transparency across the supply chain. And interoperability was an item that we talked about this morning. So how do you do that? You have to establish clear standards, guidelines, and way to measure and report. We've done some work working with colleagues in the data enrichment field, trying to best identify what are clear guidelines, what are clear measures, what do those contracts and templates need to look like so that we can ensure fair pay and workplace safety for those workers. 1 minute. Okay, I have two final. I will make them in 1 minute. While we do this, and particularly in this group, as we are in this room with the doors closed, we must attend to understand who is not at the table and whose voices are not being heard. One of the responses to the Industrial Revolution was the growth with the science of public health and the insights there of the differential impacts of technology and work based on vulnerability, access, and resources. We know that there are many people in the world who do not have access to electricity, let alone access to reliable technology or the internet. So when we think about global AI governance, I'm hoping we're going to hear this in the next session, we need to make sure that we are not closing the doors behind the global north. We need to make sure that we are creating space for all communities, particularly in the global majority, to benefit from this. This is a powerful role for the Catholic Church in this moment. You can do as you have done in the past to set the bar high for business leaders. The church can change the terms of incentives for the current AI arms race by calling for a race to the top, a race with a clear set of expectations and actions about what it takes to advance human flourishing and how we do that in a truly international community. Thank you.